Today I'm going to be teaching you about spot stacks, and I'm even going to record a couple live right here in the studio. So without further ado, let's get it! What's up, everybody? This is Mize with ColeMizeStudios.com, bringing you another segment of Be a Better Rapper. Now, today we're talking about spot stacks. Now, what are spot stacks? Spot stacks are basically like stacks, except instead of doing them for the whole main vocal, they're only in certain spots. In my previous video, I was talking about stacks, okay? And if you haven't already seen that, I'll drop a link in the video's description. And if you're on your PC, you'll also see the link right here in the video. But spot stacks, basically what they're used for is this. When you're recording your main vocal, and maybe there's parts where you was kind of running out of breath, not completely out of breath, but maybe some energy was lost. Spot stacks are good to actually add a little more energy back into your main vocal. Or let's say maybe you had to cut a word off a little too short and you wanted to drag it out a little bit longer or emphasize it a little bit more. Once again, spot stacks are good for that. Or let's say there's nothing wrong with your main vocal, you love it and it's perfect, you know, but you still want to add a little extra character to it. Spot stacks are good for that as well. Once again, spot stacks are a background vocal, and so they should be used in such a way that complements the main vocal. That's the main important thing. Now, when it comes to spot stacks, there's different kinds of spot stacks. If you're wanting to be structured in your spot stacks, which is a good thing because it gives it a predictability and it allows it not to be so obscured. It allows it not to stand out as much. And in the ear, it won't be as distracting to the ear, which means it won't be taken away from that main vocal. So there's a few different types of structured spot stacks. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is what I call end rhymes, okay? And the reason they're called end rhymes is because they're simply at the end of each bar, okay? So at the end of each bar, on a particular phrase or word, or maybe it's just a syllable, you'll do a spot stack there, okay? And you'll do that throughout your verse. And another type of spot stack is called dual rhymes. So on a dual rhyme, you're actually doubling up what you was doing on the end rhymes. So instead of only doing spot stacks at the end of each bar, now you're doubling it up and you're doing one towards the middle. So around the second beat of each bar. Okay, and this just allows it to be more consistent as far as the time. There's less spacing in between when you're doing one spot stack and the other. So it just decreases that space in between each one, okay? And then there's another one, which is probably the most popular spot stack. And that's what I like to call the sporadic spot stack. Because unlike the end rhyme and the dual rhyme, the sporadic spot stack is not planned or structured at all. And this is probably the most common because when a lot of artists are going into the studio, they're not really trying to think that much about their spot stacks. So they kind of just hit record and they just do their spot stacks wherever they wish. It's kind of like freestyling it or ad-libbing it in a certain type of way with it not being planned out. And this is probably the most common. And the pros to this is you really get a good vibe and emotion because they're not restricted and not trying to overthink things. They can just kind of go free-flowingly with it. The con to this is if you're not careful, it can be distracting from the main vocal. And the main important thing is just making sure you're lining up in time, okay? Now, just like on the stacks, of course you have your static stacks and your diverse stacks. This applies to spot stacks as well. So if you haven't already watched that video, make sure you go watch that. I don't want to have to re-explain it just for time's sake. So what I'm about to do is record some live spot stacks right here in the studio to give you an idea of what end rhymes are, dual rhymes, and sporadic spot stacks. And I'm going to be picking up where I left off on the video where I was showing you stacks. So I'm going to be pulling up the same verse and I'm going to be doing spot stacks on those. And of course, I'm going to be using the beat Presidential Encore from my beat store from ColeMizeStudios.com. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, now on this one I'm just going to be doing the end rhymes, okay? I'm only going to be saying the last word or syllables or phrases at the end of each bar. Let's do it. I consider myself a leader, but still I'm only man. No follow me, but if you must do it until you can. Establish an adequate, passionate plan that's heaven sent. Think outside the box, get deep as the ocean sediments. Seek wisdom, forget about entertainment. Liberate yourself from being shackled to the pavement. Stagnation is trash, face it. Exceed with speed and deplete what hinders or render patience. Okay, on this one, I'm gonna be doing dual rhymes. So instead of just saying words or phrases at the end of each bar, I'm also gonna be doing them in the middle around the second beat. Let's go! I consider myself a leader, but still I'm only man. No follow me, but if you must do it until you can. Establish an adequate, passionate plan that's heaven sent. Think outside the box, get deep as the ocean sediments. Seek wisdom, forget about entertainment. Liberate yourself from being shackled to the pavement. Stagnation is trash, face it. Exceed with speed and deplete what hinders or render patience. Okay, on this one, I'm gonna be doing sporadic spot stacks. So no structure, nothing like that. I'm just gonna be doing them wherever I want, just kind of freestyling it, you know what I'm saying? Let's go! I consider myself a leader, but still I'm only man. No follow me, but if you must do it until you can. Establish an adequate, passionate plan that's heaven sent. Think outside the box, get deep as the ocean sediments. Seek wisdom, forget about entertainment. Liberate yourself from being shackled to the pavement. Stagnation is trash, face it. Exceed with speed and deplete what hinders or render patience. So there you go, that's spot stacks. Now, just like in any other recording studio session, you would still go back and tweak the spot stacks and give them to fit perfectly how you want them and take ones out that you don't like and etc. But if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, drop your 2 cents in the comment section below. And if this is your first time being here, I want to invite you to get a free copy of my ebook, The #1 Fundamental to Rapping, where I'm sharing tips and techniques that I've gathered over the 17 years that I've been rapping. It will also sign you up to my newsletter because I'm doing so much more than just making these videos. I'm writing 3 blogs a week at ColeMizeStudios.com, from things on artist tips, music submission guidelines, things to make sure that your music is more likely to get heard, words of encouragement. I'm breaking down things that you might not know about certain artists, and there's just so much going on. So you won't actually have to find everything I'm doing. I will deliver it to you once a week through email, and I respond back to every email. I love hearing from you guys. This is Cole Mize with ColeMizeStudios.com with another segment of Be a Better Rapper Now. Until next time, y'all take care, and we'll holler at you. Peace.